Hello, everybody, and welcome back to IntyCenter for another whip around FODEUSS. But as is customary for the season, before we do that, just a reminder, it is March the 8th, 2026, shortest day, the shortest weekend of the year for us here in the States, thanks to daylight savings time. But remember, take care of yourself, take care of your neighbors, and today is a great day to call your congressperson and tell them it's a great day to defund ICE. Having said that, we will start with Rube Waddell, who tossed an absolute gem and still almost lost this one. Waddell goes 9 innings. He gives up 1 run on 2 hits. He enters the bottom of the ninth with the enhancers trailing the bandwagoners 1-0. In the bottom of the ninth, Jocko Milligan singles. Eddie Collins reaches on an error, but Craig Kimbrell gets that bum, Aaron Judge, to hit into a 6-4 double play. Kimbrell acting like he's a Brazilian teenager, the way he's getting clutch double plays out of Aaron Judge. That puts the bandwagoners 1 out away from victory. That out, however, eludes them as Honus Wagner ties it up with a double. We go off to extra innings. In the bottom of the 11th, Al Simmons gets a 1 out single that's going to score Eddie Collins, and the enhancers take that one 2-1. Hey, we also needed extra innings in the desert. In the bottom of the eighth, a 1 out RBI single from Lou Boudreau ties it up for the Demon Bags. We would take that 2-2 score to extra innings. This one needs 12 of those innings, but the ball players should have won it in the 10th. They get a leadoff walk, and after a wild pitch and a sac bunt with batter safe, they had runners on the corners with nobody out. But Ricky Henderson, Kenny Lofton, and Darrell Porter couldn't bring a run home, and that was that. The top of the 12th, though, the brand new ball players would finally get that run. A 1 out Ken Williams single, another wild pitch, and then an RBI single from Dobie Moore. Eric Hansen issues a 1 out walk, but gets the game-ending GIDP from Jack Myers, and the ball players take that one 3-2 in 12 innings. Now, here on IntyCenter, we don't get a lot of chances to talk about dominance from the Atlanta Animes, so let's do that. Mike Tiernan went 5 for 5 with 3 ribbies. Joe Torre goes 4 for 5 with a pair of doubles, and the Animes trounce Jolly Roger 10-2. And what's even more unexpected than that kind of dominance from the Animes? How about an unexpected 8 2/3 innings of 4-hit shutout baseball from, hold on, I got to double check my notes here. Yep, 8 2/3, 4-hit shutout baseball from Greg Swindell. Fucking Greg Swindell. The other stories of that game were all the number one, as in it took one pitch from Sean Doolittle to finish off the Demon Bags, and there was only 1 run scored in the entire game. That was an RBI single from Kenny Lofton in the 7th that saw the third out come on a relay throw to third just after the runner scored. So if you're keeping home with score at home, that's a pitching gem from Greg Swindell, an RBI single from Kenny Lofton. Us 80s to 90s kids in Cleveland are going crazy looking at that box score right now. As much as it pains me to admit it, though, folks, might have been a little wrong in our preseason projections about Bob Feller. Feller's now just 5-4 on the season after getting absolutely roughed up by New York State Mound. He exits in the 4th inning. He goes 3 2/3 innings. He gives up 8 runs, 6 of them earned on 11 hits. His season ERA is 3.76, which is certainly respectable, but it's not the dominance we thought we'd see. Willie Mays gets 4 hits for State of Mound in that one in their win. Now, on the other hand, we did see some great things from Sam Streeter, as in 4 hits in as in a 4-hit shutout of Receiver. Streeter was also involved in the only 2 runs scored by his team. He gets an RBI triple, and then he scores on a George Davis RBI single. The Gales of November take that one 2-0. And surprise, this first set of games was actually a 4-game set, not a 3-game set. I wasn't paying attention when I posted games this week. Oh well. Hey, in those 4th games, we had a pair of 14 innings, and we're going to start with the less crazy 14-inning affair. That one's over at the Polo Grounds, where it's John Henry Lloyd laying the hammer down. He hits a game-tying three-run homer in the sixth that ties us at sixth, and we stay tied at six until the 14th inning. Cool Papa Bell gets a leadoff single in the 14th. He steals second base. He moves to third on a fielder's choice. But a ground ball to third from Judd Wilson would see Pepper Martin gun down the speedy Bell at the plate. Undeterred, though, George Scales would deliver the walk-off single one batter later. That brings Buck Ewing home just ahead of a throw from Pete Rose, and the State of Mound get that one 7-6. Across town, the bandwagoners and the enhancers would be tied at 2 after 4 innings, and they would play an entire game of baseball before anyone scores again, because it's still 2-2 as we enter the 14th inning. The bandwagoners go single, walk, single, and score 3 runs. I'm sorry, single, walk, single, and score 3 runs before Brooks Robinson and Lou Gehrig strike out and Carl Yastrzemski flies out to end the inning. In the bottom of the 14th, Jocko Milligan gets a leadoff single, and Dick Allen hits a 2-run homer. Ernie Lombardi gets a single that chases Noodles Hahn, and with a tying run on base, Craig Kimbrell is summoned in. He retires Jim Edmonds, Paul Wainer, and Honus Wagner in order, and that's going to give that crazy 14-inning game to the visitors 5-4. Hey, maybe New York State of Mound should have gone a little extra in their Pokemon game of catching them all with great New York pitchers, because the one they didn't get absolutely DeGrominated them. Jacob DeGrom tosses a 4-hit shutout, but now this was almost a vintage DeGrom performance. As we entered the ninth, scoreless on both sides, and with 2 outs, it looked like DeGrom, despite that DeGrominance, was in line for a no decision. But with 2 outs, Paul Wainer reaches on an error, and then Dave Parker hits a walk-off 2-run homer, and that gives 2 unearned runs and a hard luck loss to our hard luck loser, Dazzy Vance. Same day, Herb Score and Bullet Rogan leaned on their bullpens and gave us another pitching classic. Joe Morgan hits a solo homer off Rogan in the first. That's the only run scored in that game. Score goes 7 innings. He gives up just 2 hits. Edwin Diaz and Eric Gagne each had a hitless inning in relief. Rogan goes 6 2/3, gives up that 1 run on 5 hits. Takashi Saito works the remaining balance of that game. He gives up 2 harmless hits, and that all adds up to a 1-0 win for Amazings. Folks, at this point, continuing to call it the year of the Toad is starting to feel a little disingenuous, because Toad Ramsey honestly might be the most consistent ace in FODEUSS year after year. He spun another gem. He gives up 1 run on 5 hits against Amazings while striking out a dozen, and that happens in a 5-1 win for the Gales. Go to the last set of games here. Mel Ott and Orlando Cepeda had dueling pairs of homers, as Game of Thrones took down Atlanta Animes 11-9. Willie Mays had a pair of homers as the State of Mound took down the Enhancers 11-4. But we're going to wrap up IntyCenter with a little bit of madness between the Demon Bags and the Sithy. George Sizzler got it going early with a leadoff homer to start the game. Sithy would score 2 each in the first and second to take an early 4-0 lead. The home side gets 2 in the third to make it 4-2. Sithy extends their lead to 5-2 in the top of the 7th. But in the bottom of the 7th, it's a leadoff homer from Jack Duffy and a heartbreaking RBI double from who else against Sean but Jose Ramirez. And then an RBI ground out from Jack Myers ties that one at 5. Still tied at 5 with 2 outs in the 9th. Stan Musial gets a 2-run double. 3 pitches later, Paul Hines gets a 2-run homer. It's 9-5. No more Demon Bag base runners in that game, and Sithy takes it by that score. That's going to do it for IntyCenter this week. Remember, take care of yourself out there. The world is crazy. You don't have to join it. Call your Congress people, make a difference, and we'll see you next time for another whip around. FODEUSS.